In 2013, a single taxi license in New York cost more than $1 million. Drivers spent decades paying off that debt. Then a startup appeared. Within just a few years, that one app destroyed the value of those licenses, triggered global protests, and rewrote the rules of transportation. Cities tried to ban it. Taxi drivers blocked highways. Governments stepped in. But nothing stopped it. That app was Uber. And what started as a simple ride-sharing service turned into one of the most aggressive business disruptions in modern history. This is the story of the war between Uber and the taxi industry. To understand why Uber was so disruptive, we first have to understand how the taxi industry worked before it existed. For decades, taxis in many major cities were controlled by something called a medallion system. A medallion was essentially a government-issued license that allowed a car to legally operate as a taxi. But these licenses were extremely limited. In New York City, for example, only about 13,000 taxi medallions existed for decades. This meant that entering the taxi business wasn't easy. You couldn't simply buy a car and start driving passengers. You had to buy a medallion. And by the early 2010s, the price of a single medallion had climbed to nearly $1 million. That created a powerful and rigid system. Medallion owners controlled the market. Drivers often rented cars from those owners and paid daily fees just to work. Some drivers worked 12-hour shifts just to earn enough after covering those costs. For passengers, the experience wasn't great either. Finding a taxi during rush hour could be frustrating. In many places, payments were cash only. Calling a taxi sometimes meant waiting 20 or 30 minutes. But because the industry had almost no competition, there was very little pressure to improve the system. For decades, the system remained largely unchanged, until smartphones entered the picture. In 2008, two entrepreneurs named Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp were attending a tech conference in Paris. After the event ended, they tried to get a taxi, but just like millions of people before them, they couldn't find one. Standing in the cold, they started discussing a simple idea. What if you could press a button on your phone and a car would come directly to you? At the time, smartphones were still relatively new. But the idea felt obvious. Instead of standing on the street hoping a taxi would stop, the car would come to you. In 2009, they launched the first version of the app. The original name was Uber Cab. The concept was incredibly simple. Open the app, press a button, a driver appears. At first, the service was tiny, just a handful of black cars operating in San Francisco. But the experience felt revolutionary. For the first time, transportation felt effortless. Once people tried Uber, many never went back to taxis. The app solved several problems instantly. You didn't need cash. You didn't need to explain your destination. You didn't need to wait on the street hoping a driver would stop. Everything happened automatically. Your location, your driver, your payment. The entire experience was controlled from your phone. Investors quickly noticed the potential. Uber began raising massive amounts of venture capital. The company expanded city by city. Drivers could join simply by using their own cars. Within a few years, Uber was operating across the United States, then across Europe, then across Asia and Latin America. By the mid-2010s, Uber had become one of the fastest-growing startups in history. But the faster Uber grew, the louder the backlash became. Taxi companies had operated under strict regulations for decades. Drivers needed special licenses. Cars had to follow specific rules. And medallions cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Uber ignored most of that system. Anyone with a car and a smartphone could become a driver. Taxi drivers around the world were furious. Protests erupted in cities across Europe, Asia, and North America.
We explained it good enough the first time. I thought we explained it good enough the first time.
Thousands of drivers blocked highways. Traffic came to a halt. Airports were shut down by demonstrations. Taxi drivers argued that Uber represented unfair competition. They had spent years paying for licenses and complying with strict regulations. Uber drivers, on the other hand, could enter the market with far fewer barriers. Governments suddenly faced a difficult question. Should they protect the old industry or allow a new technology to reshape the market? Different cities responded differently. Some attempted to ban Uber entirely. Others introduced new regulations. But by that point, millions of customers had already adopted the service. And once people experience convenience, it's very difficult to take it away. The old system was fighting the new one, and the new one was winning. Today, Uber operates in hundreds of cities around the world. The company is worth tens of billions of dollars. And the idea of standing on the street hoping to catch a taxi now feels almost outdated. But the story isn't perfect. Uber has faced criticism over driver pay, labor rights, and regulatory battles. The ride-sharing industry continues to evolve. Yet one thing is clear. Uber permanently changed how people think about transportation. It didn't invent rides. It simply removed friction from an industry that had stopped evolving. And that was enough to rewrite the rules. Every industry eventually develops friction. Processes become slow. Rules become rigid. Innovation slows down. And that creates an opportunity. The companies that reshape industries rarely invent something completely new. They simply remove the frustration people have learned to tolerate. Uber didn't invent transportation. It simply made it easier. And sometimes, that's all disruption really is. Before we finish, I have a small gift for you. If you help choose the topic of the next video, I'll give 3 of you the Redacast Creator Plan free for 30 days. Just comment the number of the battle you want next. 1. Netflix versus Blockbuster, the $50 billion mistake. 2. Apple versus Microsoft, the tech war that never ended. 3. Amazon versus Walmart, the retail war. The Creator Plan lets you generate unlimited voiceovers and create unlimited videos for your faceless channel, and even use an AI assistant to help write your scripts. I'll randomly pick 3 people from the comments. And if you enjoy business wars like this one, make sure you subscribe, because the biggest battles in tech are just getting started.